All right, well, Robertson, of course, Acting Up and Acting Up Radio slash Vlogcast, because I've kind of taken this out of the equation in regards to the radio stuff. However, you can get this on a podcast and brought to you by, of course, Kids Casting and kidscasting.com. You definitely want to check out kidscasting.com, because if you are a mom, a dad, a momager, and I think it's called a dadager. I made that one up. I don't see a lot of the dads on there all the time, but I know the moms are actively trying to get their kids in this profession. And it is not an easy profession. That's why we're out here trying to educate you and get you through the learning curve instead of bumping into the walls, which, by the way, is easy to do. It does take a lot of dedication. It does take a lot of persistence, but it also takes the right information, so that way you're not bugging the wrong people, asking the wrong questions, and that's why we're here. So with that being said, let's move on. As you can see, we're on a split screen, and what happens here is my guest is supposed to be in the wings, but unfortunately I don't have any wings. But I will tell you that I'm very excited about what's happening today, because I kind of bump into this on social media, and that kind of is telltale of what's happening in our industry. As you all know, I'm your host, and you can see the bottom. You know that I'm really big with social media, just because I believe it is the best way. It is our elevator pitch. It is the way of the future. As a matter of fact, I can stop saying that because it is now. If you are not successfully on social media, as a professional entertainer or a business person, but we're dealing more with the entertainer part, then you probably are walking on 2 feet and going, "Rrr!" That's a dinosaur imitation, by the way. But today I'm very excited, because she took my interview request like last minute. She goes, "Absolutely, I'd love to." I'm here with this young lady on the screen, split screen, Angela Marie Hutchinson. She is an author. She is a professor. She is, wow, you're kind of like a jack of all the industry trades. You have a lot going on. And I'm very excited to say welcome to the show.
I do. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited that you are here. And just so you know, there's a lot of places we're going to send you. So get your pad and your pen. And if you're under 20, you can Google those two things.
I know.
Writing
Right? Pull out your phone.
Yeah. Pull out your phone, because there will be some websites for you to go to. Let's start off with social media. You are a professor at Loyola Marymount. I always have a hard time saying that 10 times fast, even one
I know.
time
Just say
fast.
LMU.
LMU. Yeah.
LMU is easy.
Yeah, you are a professor there of social media. Give us a little background about what is that? Is that communications with this new marketing? What does that entail?
It really is. It falls underneath public relations. So within our communication and fine arts division, within that is our public relations. And so it's so interesting, because we have all kinds of classes in social media, everything from like beyond the selfie. The course that I teach is called the Introduction to Social Media. And the first thing I say to my students on the first day is like, listen, I know you don't need to be introduced to social media, because it needs no introduction at this point, but we focus a lot on social media marketing.
Okay. Social media marketing. Now, when you say that, that is one, a very, very broad spectrum, and difficult to wrap yourself around. But number two, ever changing. I mean,
Yes.
I am so surprised that literally every day there's a new, the algorithm's different. You have to do this on Facebook's got a security thing. And, people are trying to wrap themselves around it. And unfortunately, it is something that takes a little bit more analysis
Yes.
than it does just going, hey, here's a picture of me eating pizza.
Right. Yeah. There's really two aspects to social media. So there's the business, like you said, the tech savvy, understanding the algorithms, what you should and shouldn't be doing. And then there's more, in our course, we focus on both, but then there's more like the everyday lay person who wants to engage and interact in social media, but they're not trying to study manuals on understanding the algorithms. They don't want to, they just want to, upload their video, communicate with their friends or family. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's sort of two worlds that I try to teach my students. Both are important to understand, but because, as you mentioned, it's evolving, you never can basically be a full-on expert of everything, because it's changing constantly. It really does.
Yeah, it really does change constantly. And the thing with actors, as I always tell them, is that, it is the way to show everything the elevator pitch. If you were on an elevator with Steven Spielberg and you had 20 floors and he looked over and said, "So what do you do?" It is your way of posing to people your best assets as a performer. And it is so difficult to get people to understand that. So I'm glad that you're here. I know at the end of the conversation, we're going to talk about the fact that you have a Thursday session that you're going to be giving people here in Hollywood, California.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they can't fly there to do this, then you have a link that they can watch the actual thing. But let's talk a little bit about, you must have a lot of people coming into your classes and asking you questions. What would you say the biggest misconception of social media when it comes to actors that you probably are dealing with?
Well, I think it's two things. I think the first is that a lot of actors I know, they tend to focus a lot on the followers. They want to have a high amount of followers. Okay, that's the big thing. Increase their followers. And while you can increase your followers, what starts to happen is a lot of the networks, especially like in any digital platforms that are looking for actors for talent, they're looking for your engagement. Mm-hmm. So far more important than your followers is your engagement with your followers. So that means, are they liking? Are they tagging? If you're on Facebook, are they sharing? And so what you'll find a lot of times with celebrities is they have these huge followings, these massive followings. And when you start to, there's all kinds of tools like Social Blade, right? Yeah. Where, it's a free tool. You can go on and you can see how active is this person really, how active are their followers? And so I think that's really a misconception, thinking that it's all about how many followers I can get. And it's really more about how authentic you can be with the followers that you have, right, and making sure you can get them to engage. Because even if you have 1,500 followers, but if, 50% of them respond, that's great.
Awesome. Yeah. I agree with you totally, but you know that we're in a business of ego. And so and also our society has really lent itself to where what we really want in life is for people to like us and accept us. I mean, that's kind of normal. You deal in self-help in essence, and so do I. And we know that the reason why keynote speakers are invited to places is, one, to make sure their productivity is better, make sure that they're selling more, and make sure that they feel more like a person in the midst of their community called work. But with that being said, I'm glad you said that, because there are a lot of people that constantly are saying, "Oh, I just got to get more people. I got to get more people." And I saw a statistic or an article that said that a lot of stars have actually, not themselves, but have purchased fake followers just so they look like they're larger than they appear in the rearview mirror. And the fact of the matter is that, some of that stuff's detrimental. Can I ask you, what is your course? How do you break it down? How long is it?
So it's a long class, right? It's an evening class. I teach undergrad students, so it's from 7 to 10. So they come in with their Red Bulls and coffee in order to survive it. But, I break it down, and we cover probably about 7 or 8 different important topics. We, everything from social media ethics, case studies. There's a lot of companies that are putting out ads or things that spark huge controversies online, whether it's political movements or social movements or fashion trends, things like that. And then we also, really important, something that actors can consider doing is social media audits. So we focus a lot on that, understanding how to audit a brand, whether it's a company, an individual, a celebrity. And you can take a look at your own self. So a lot of times in social media, people are like, okay, I'm on social, but like, what do I do? Like, where do I go? They're trying to figure out how to grow and how to grow authentically and how to engage. And the first thing you have to do is really do an audit and kind of determine, where are you right now in the social space? And then once you do that,
how is that done, if you don't mind me asking?
It's a lengthy process. I'd say in a nutshell, you're basically identifying all the different places where you're at, where you're on social, right? Yeah. You're looking at your competitors, where they are, who are some people that are in your lane that you see are maybe the next level or where you're trying to go. What are they doing? What platforms are they on? Identifying, why do you think they're on those platforms? What's their engagement look like? What do you, like, off the top of your head, you should know, like, what's your highest post? What are people attracted to you for? Why are people really following you? Do they want to see your kids, or do they like the business tips you're giving them? Like, what is it? And once you can identify that, you can try to tailor your content in that direction.
Makes sense, yeah.
And then I think the other thing with social media is a lot of times we think of Facebook, we think of, Snapchat, Twitter, the basics, but, YouTube is also social media.
Yeah.
And a lot of the, it is, right? But we sort of think of it as just as a video, but it isn't. YouTube is one of the highest social media sites, but often it gets left off as a social site, but it is. And even some of the messaging apps, WhatsApp, there's a lot of more apps that are just becoming very social. And I think that when you have a cluttered marketplace on Instagram, and even Twitter, like there's so many people who are doing really well on those sites, you have to figure out how can you stand out. And so you have to kind of find your corner of the world and figure out where your audience is, whether it's casting directors or talent agents. Because a lot of, interestingly, so I used to be a former talent agent for children a couple years ago. Yeah, I used to work for RPM Talent Agency, and I was running the youth division. And I think one of the important things with kids, teens, and just, really actors in general, when it comes to social media, is you have two main things. You're focusing on, like, if you're not represented, you're focusing on agents, managers, right? If you are, you're focusing on casting directors. And then the third maybe element is like your fans. And so you have to figure out what is your goal in your social media page. And it doesn't have to be the same throughout. So when you do an audit, the next step is working on a social media marketing plan. Once you kind of identify where you're at, you figure out where you're going to go. And it doesn't have to be forever. You don't have to create a plan and it's like, okay, this is what I'm doing for the next year. It might be 3 months. You're going to do this. 3 months. You're going to do that. And you kind of shift and kind of build.
One of the things that you talked about is YouTube. And as a content producer, it always amazes me that actors don't get, one, that yes, it's a social media platform. It's actually probably one of the better engaging, because you can do a premiere thing now. And then as you're doing it, people can chat and you can interact almost like it's a live forum. And the other part about it is that one of the things that I know that you probably tell your students, and I tell a lot of actors when I'm coaching them, is that, if you're producing content, that's a good thing. Because just simply getting on Instagram and going, I'm awfully cute, and taking yet another selfie in front of a mirror, which is never going to be looked at seriously or professionally by a casting director or producer or director, you can be on YouTube producing, even if it's 10 seconds, and producing these things and constantly putting stuff out, because you can, back in the day, I know you've been doing this for a while, and I started in like 1981. Anyway, back then it was black and white headshots on a wall with your agent. If you're on the top, you're picked, and if you're at the bottom, then good luck. But the bottom line is that now we have the availability to show depth in our work, and YouTube is such a great place to do it.
It is. It's a great platform. I think it's definitely underutilized, in terms of more people should definitely, utilize it. And then, realize that with any social media, you have to continuously promote it. Yes. Because because you upload a video doesn't mean it's just going to go viral, right? And you can put in the keywords and, and you can do all the tech things to kind of get this SEO, the search engine optimization. You can do these things. But at the end of the day, it's really important to market yourself, so that's why social media marketing is just in general is so important, the marketing aspects, because you have to figure out, okay, what kind of plan do I need and how I'm going to tackle that plan. It might be per project. It might be, for a certain, audition or, whatever it might be. I know, and even with self-tapes, a lot of actors are doing more self-tapes. Self-tapes are a great way a lot of actors don't want to do this because they're afraid of like the criticism.
Sure.
But it's a great way to unlock your self-tape. After maybe you didn't get the role, right? Perhaps you didn't get the role. Sometimes you do sign a confidentiality agreement, so you can't say what you auditioned for. But if you just do like a general audition and you didn't sign anything, and you can say, hey, check this out. What did you think? I didn't get the part. Right. Why do you not think? Or just trying to get the feedback and the engagement, and so that can also be a really useful tool to build the audience in a very authentic way.
Yeah, no, I love that. And, you did say the key word. One of my last shows, I talked to a guy named Coach MC out of, he's from Italy, but he works in Germany, and he does a lot of coaching stuff. And we basically kept saying the same word, which is authenticity.
Yeah.
One of the things that people tend to, especially in the kids market, and you know this, is they tend to do the sequins tops and the really blown out hair and the lots of makeup, and they're going, "This is my kid." I'm like, no, that's really not your kid, and that's most importantly not what they want in the day and age of 2019. They want authentic, because they want them to go, "I really like these glasses because I really can't see." They don't want like, "These are awesome and I'm really handsome and cute," and you know what I mean? So authenticity is the key, and I imagine that comes into play with what you do as a professor.
Yeah, it does. And when it comes to actors, a lot of times too, with the whole authenticity, you'll see that, I want to say I probably see it on Instagram a little bit, where sometimes people don't know how to be authentic.
No,
They
they
look
don't.
at what someone else does,
Yeah.
and they think, oh, well, that got like 800 hits, let me do this, or let me post this kind of picture because that got a lot of hits. But that might have been that person's, following, which is why they, got that many hits. So it's definitely important to be authentic in terms of who you are. And if you look at a lot of casting notices nowadays, they're asking for what? Real people. They're
People.
often saying they want real people. And I'm like, what's real people? Sometimes I actually I have three children under the age of 10. And so they don't do any acting, but they do real people acting, right?
Yeah.
So whenever anything pops up for real people, because they're not in acting classes, but that's what they're saying. They don't want kids who are in acting classes. Not always, not for all roles, but for some things, they want that kid who just really loves technology and can just say, "I love my iPad,"
Well, the thing that's a very good point, because I've made this comment to many people as well, as they go, "Well, problem is I don't have a lot of education in acting and I didn't study a lot." And I go, "I'll be honest with you. I've been doing this for 38 years and I don't have a lot of education myself as well. I did a lot of theater so I could work out my deals, and then I worked for Fox Kids. So I've been doing this a while." Point is that nowadays I tell people the best entry level thing to do in this industry is commercials. Because commercials, you literally, first of all, you don't need a degree for any of this stuff anyway. As an actor, you can just go to Uncle Harry's blog and learn something about acting, and the next day you can be an actor, good and bad. But the bottom line is that, in commercials, they're just looking for you to be like a real person going, "I really want this," and not to be Disney and go, "I really want this," because kids tend to do that, the Disney and Nickelodeon thing, and they're not being real. And so that's a great point for social media. So let's talk about rejection quickly. I know you wrote a book, and I'm very excited. The book is right here. I have it in front of me. Create Your Yes, and that's Create Your Yes. But when you don't get a yes, which, by the way, I want you to tell me what that means. But when you don't get a yes, you're getting a no. And that is probably the middle name of most actors who have been doing this for any length of time, is people go, "So you get a lot of work." I'm like, "You don't even know how much work I've been turned down on and how many times I've submitted for auditions. I submit hundreds a day and get maybe less than 1% return, not because I'm not good, not because I didn't send them the right picture, but now there's like 2,500 instead of, when I was starting, maybe 150, 25 to 4,000 people submitting. So the odds are there that you're going to get a no." Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, rejection is huge, right? I mean, rejection is something that every single person experiences, no matter what profession you're in, no matter, what walk of life you come from, you're going to experience it. Now, some people experience more rejection, as you said, because they're putting in more. Yeah. So if you're going out for big things and you're constantly going out for something, then you're more likely to be turned down because of the amount of things that you're going after. And so it's interesting because the reason why I wrote this book, so it's called Create Your Yes, when you keep hearing no, and it's basically a 12-step strategy for success. So the reason, right? So here's the interesting thing. So the reason how I actually got the book deal, right, is because I was invited to do a TEDx Talk. Oh. And they said that the topic was, the theme of the event was on breaking barriers. And I thought, okay, well, what kind of barriers have I broken? I'm a woman, I'm African American. Yeah. Like, okay, I can think of some barriers. But then I thought, what is something that's universal? What's something that everybody has a barrier that they've had to break? And it's rejection. Yeah. Rejection is like the number one thing that no matter who you are, from the high celebrity to on down. And so it's something that we've had to all experience. And I thought, you know what? I'm an expert in rejection. Yeah. So this is what I'm going to talk about. And from that, my agent saw it and said, I think we should pursue this as a book deal. And lo and behold, I ended up getting a book deal on something that was totally unintended. It wasn't. And so it's like the one topic, of all topics, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's very interesting. And so with the book, it talks a lot about, because I am a social media professor,
Right.
There's a lot of different things I've learned in tools and how to create opportunities for yourself when you feel like you don't have any. You feel
Right.
like there are no opportunities. There's always a way to do something, even if it feels like it, even
Right.
if it feels like there's not.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest tip to take away. I could ask you and try to pump you for more information, but the fact is that it is about being persistent, but also it's also kind of about not taking it personal. Because there are too many
Absolutely.
variables, too many variables in this, especially in this day and age, I mean, I keep looking and I'm on Instagram and I see like a billion people I know getting series regulars and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And, and sitting in your car and weeping all day is not going to help it. You just have to learn how to process it. And when you do, in my opinion, the work, because 99% of what we do as an actor is look, and 1% is work. Now, you try to increase those odds, but with that being said, knowing that going forward that you're going to have that kind of rejection rate, you do need to make the process as much fun as the work. So
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to realize, you have to figure out what your go-to is to pivot, basically to be able to pivot from the no, because some no's are very real.
Yeah.
Some no's are not changeable. They are what they are. If someone offers me, a hot chocolate at Starbucks, I'm going to tell them, no, I don't drink hot chocolate. There's no way the salesperson is going to be able to sell me hot chocolate because I don't drink it. Now, if the salesperson says, well, you know what? The person behind you loves hot chocolate. Do you want to buy one for them? I might consider buying one for someone else. So there's tools and there's ways to figure out, maybe it's not for you, maybe it's a friend you help, and helping other people with their goals and aspirations can also sometimes lead to where you're trying to go. So you have to figure out how to pivot from the no so you can get to the more yeses, and maybe not even more, but just like a very specific lucrative yes that you've been looking for, whether it's a serious regular or in terms of social media, there's a lot of social media influencers, which is something that's become, obviously very popular. Yeah. There's the macro influencers and then there's the micro influencers. And so a lot of, micro influencers and macro are now getting deals on television because of their following, because it's an authentic way. As you said, they don't have to say, watch this program. It's just kind of like, hey, I'm in this show,
right.
And you'll naturally tune in because their followers want to see them.
Right.
It doesn't work for all influencers, but,
Yeah, but that's a very good point, and yet another subject we could talk about is the fact that influencing and actors getting roles because they are, and I have stories about two female actresses that are as good as each other, look the same as each other in a read, and had three producer, director, and casting director, and they were it was a throw up between either one of them, and then finally the last person came in and said, what's your social media? Oh, I don't know, about 1,200 on. What's yours? I have 40,000 and they engage a lot. Okay, cool. You're hired. And, as sad as it may be that we're not really truly going how talented you are, let's say that the talent also has to do with business sense and has to do with, processing. One thing I want to just end on and tell people that I think is brilliant is the pivoting. The pivoting is a great idea because what you just said to me when you said pivoting, when you got done, as I went, that's called networking. Because even though you may not take the lemon, it might be sour, and making it into lemonade, the lemonade is that you may be engaging with someone else, or you can utilize that something else to be able to open up another door, and that's this business, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, 100%. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
So you can get the book, awesome, and you can get it, Angela Marie Hutchinson, and the book is called Create Your Yes, and you can get it at createyouryes.com. That's createyouryes.com. Create Your Yes. When you keep hearing no, a 12-step strategy for success. Love that. And then also, you should know that on Twitter, you can get Angela at, I'm going to let you do this one because I wrote it down, but it's Artisticpreneur, which is awesome.
There we go.
But please spell it for them. Artisticpreneur.
ARTISTIC and then PRENEUR. Yes, it's a mouthful. Artisticpreneur.
I don't know if it's a mouthful. I just really would hate to be on some program that they go, say that 10 times fast to win $1 million. I can't do it once. I lost. Really appreciate it. You're also on Facebook. You can check you out. Of course, I would just recommend, and by the way, this story will be on actingupradio.com, brought to you by kidscasting.com. But by all means, check it out. I'm going to put all this information, and the crudité here is that you have something Thursday that we're going to let you talk about right now and end the show with, and tell us where it's going to be. And if you can't get there, how can you see this?
Yep. So my nonprofit organization called Breaking into Hollywood, we're having an event at LA Film School.
Wonderful.
And so it's called How to Monetize Social Media, Build a Brand, and Attract Investors. Okay. So this is also for filmmakers, actors, writers, producers, anyone is basically looking to build a brand and then to be able to either attract the money or film and TV deals. And it's from 7 to 9. And it's recorded. So if you're not able to make it, then you can also get the recording.
Yeah, I can't be there because I'm filming something, but I'm definitely going to purchase the download because that sounds like an amazing 2 hours. So
Yeah. And the speaker, so I'm the moderator, but the speaker is actually Rachel McCord. And so she is an influencer on Instagram. She has over 500,000 followers on Instagram, and her engagement is huge. She also runs the McCord list. So she's been featured in like Forbes, Glamour People. And so she's really got an understanding of how to balance understanding the technical aspect of social and then being able to organically engage that as you still promote your natural brand.
Absolutely phenomenal. That's the information you need. Now, I don't think you should negate your acting classes, kids and moms and dads and everybody else, but I do believe that you should be spending as much time as you can figuring out how to get in front of people. And now in 2019, we have a lot more options than we did way back when. So definitely check that out. Hey, thanks for coming on the show, Angela. I really appreciate it. I think it's awesome. I want to have you back on again when you're doing something new, and maybe just to talk about your book and push more of that information.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, hey folks, Acting Up Radio, that's it. Of course, Acting Up Vlogcast now. I have to get used to that. But check us out. And also, this will be available on podcast if you are driving right now and you can't watch us. Too bad for you, but you can hear, and that is where the greatest information will be coming from and going to in your ear. actingupradio.com, you can check us out. My personal Instagram is Will Roberts Actor, or you can check me out at Acting Career Coach on Instagram and actingcareercoach.com. If we haven't given you enough URLs, trust me, you'll see this article on actingupradio.com. Thanks again, Angela. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, talk to you soon, and get out there and do something, and do it for yourself first. Hey everybody, Will Roberts out here in Rancho Cucamonga, Los Angeles area. Today I'm getting information on good headshots, so I thought I'd go to my good friend here at KS Visions. He's the best here in Los Angeles. So let's get some facts, some information on how you can actually do this on your own if you can't afford getting a professional like him. Here we go. All right, so here we are at KS Visions. I'm here in Los Angeles, California, Rancho Cucamonga, Hollywood. Hey, everybody, if you want to see the full story here on me talking to a top photographer in LA on making headshots, you got to go to kidscasting.com.